All right, so let's talk about choke. Choke, if you don't know, it would be something that doesn't automatically kill your horse if they choke. If your horse choked for days, could it kill your horse? Yes, more likely because of aspiration of the grain into their lungs and causing them to get pneumonia or some severe infection that would likely kill them before the actual choking, because it doesn't actually block their airway. Choke is very painful to your horse, and it's scary to your horse. So what I do when I see, I've had a couple chokes where we could get through it, and I've had a couple chokes where, the vet needs to be called. The first time I ever experienced choke, I was terrified of what was happening. This horse was literally running backwards and slamming himself into the wall. Now, I don't know if he was smart enough to think plunger, like I'm going to Heimlich myself by running my tail into the wall. I'm not sure if that's why he was doing that. He was very young. He was like 10 months old. But he ended up needing the vet because I didn't know what was happening more than he probably needed the vet for anything else. He didn't aspirate. So when you know you need to call the vet, obviously if you can't clear it yourself, but the other, like telltale, no matter what, even if it seems like they got through it, you're calling the vet if it comes out of their nose. If anything comes out of their nose, you're calling the vet, because that means now it's gotten into their airway. It's gotten into a way for them to breathe it into their lungs, and the particles, the debris of whatever caused the choke, so grain usually. Then you're definitely calling the vet. I definitely call the vet if you're somebody who just throws SMZs at your horse when anything looks infectious or whatever. Then I don't know that that's the right path. I'm not promoting that. I call the vet. So that's when I would call the vet. Now, how do I handle choke? I've never heard that you should walk them, but I do. And the reason I walk them is because of the bobbing of the head when they walk. And I walk them briskly so that there's quite a bob. Hoping that bob will maybe just through the muscle usage and whatever, maybe would cause any clumping of grain to break up. The other thing that I also do is I massage that side of the throat, trying to, if I find the lump especially, trying to help it break up possibly. Okay. It's very, very painful for a horse, so how do you know if your horse is choking? Their neck takes on a weird shape. Very, very tight, but it also takes on a weird shape. It almost hollows out up at the pole, and then there's a huge strain. It gets very, very strained, and then you can see all the details of their esophagus. So, and they usually kind of throw back. They look like they're like gagging maybe. I'm not sure what it would look like to you, but their neck gets very, 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 very tight. And takes on a weird shape because of how every muscle's being used, and it, like I said, it seems to collapse up by the pole when it gets tight. Like it gets tight in the the pole in the throat, and then that's when they usually throw themselves backwards. Whether they run backwards like Pride did, I don't know. But I've never had another horse do it that way, but I've seen them, try to back away from it, like they're trying to release it, like a horse's version of throwing up, which if you didn't know, horses cannot throw up. But kind of like a dry heave, right? Immediately, I go in and I massage. I don't try to encourage them to drink or anything like that. I don't encourage anything to try to get down in there. I've heard people say they do mineral oil to try to help break it up. I've never done that. I don't know that I would promote that. Like I said, I massage it and I walk them. And like I said, I've never heard anyone say you should walk them, but I've helped horses get through it by walking them because of, or I'm at least attributing that to one of the factors that helped. Because of, and I walk them briskly, so they have the big head bob when they're walking, right? Don't trot them, because they don't, if you don't know, horses don't bob their head when they're trotting, unless they're lame. So that's what I do, and when I call the vet either if the horse is just not getting through it, I might give it, 45 minutes to an hour before I think about calling the vet if I can't get them through it myself. And then when you do get them through it, do not let them have anything else to eat. Take their grain out. It's kind of like a colic in that case. Like, take their grain out, take their hay out, only provide them with water, and probably leave it like that for the next, if it happens at night, until the next morning. Let that rawness that just happened sort of heal before you feed them again. And the likelihood of it being sore would cause them to contract when they swallow and the grain hits it again. It could cause another I know the word thing, obstruction. Okay, so that's what I do for choke. And if you didn't know what choke looked like, there's your description of what choke looks like. It just kind of looks like they're maybe dry heaving, and the muscles on their neck just it's a very distinctive look in their neck, and it's consistent throughout any horse I've ever seen choke. So so I hope that's helpful if you've never seen choke, and you want to know that for future in case your horse ever chokes. Some horses, once they've choked once, there's a chronic problem of choking. I do know I had a border horse that had a chronic choking problem, and we probably every couple of months were working him through it. I've had horses choke just once and that's it. I know I had a client call me and say they didn't know what was happening to their horse, and what she was describing, I'm like, he's choking, and then I went and helped until the vet came, because the horse did aspirate. So anyway, have a great day, and I hope that's helpful to you. Great, bye.